Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to talk to you about three things. I'd like to talk to you about gunshot wounds, I'd like to talk to you about money, and I'd like to talk to you about doing the right thing. Mr. Harbour died a horrible death. He suffered an accidental discharge of a shotgun to his stomach. Belt buckle particles were picked out of his stomach and later analyzed. His internal organs were likely shredded to pieces. Absolutely unimaginably horrible. Most like with his heart still pumping and his brain uninjured, the blood poured out of him until he died. As a hunter, an experienced hunter, someone who had been doing it for decades, as someone who was experienced with guns, who had owned shotguns for the same decades, no hunter would ever choose to go out this way. Hunters, they aim for the heart, they aim for the head of the animals that they hunt, because they want to be, because they're typically compassionate and want the quickest possible death. There's no way that an experienced hunter would voluntarily fire a shotgun blast into his own stomach. However, a hunter would be meticulous about his gun maintenance. Let's keep that in the back of our minds. Second thing, let's talk about money. Money, it drives all corporate decisions, including those of the Southern Comfort Life Insurance Company. And you know what? What did they do in this case? Life insurance is a numbers game. A large number of people make relatively modest payments in order that a few should benefit significantly in the event of their inopportune death and inopportune and premature death. The companies, life insurance companies, take the other side of this numbers. But Southern Comfort has figured out a way to make even more money. The way that they've decided to make money is to fight claims and to not pay them at all. We've heard that they regularly hired this a hired gun, the 10% man, the investigator that we heard from earlier. This isn't the first time that they've done something like this, and likely not the last. Instead of paying the claim promptly, and as they were required to do by the contract, and as they're required to do by as they're required to do by the contract and by the agreement, instead, what did they do? They hired the 10% man, who managed to dig up some speculation, some unfounded accusations, some rumors and gossip. Okay, and on the basis of this speculation, they brought this accusation of suicide in the case of Mr. Harbour's death. It's completely unfounded. To back it up, they brought in this so-called suicidologist, Mr. Trevino. You can tell what I think about their evidence, but I urge you to consider what the real substance is behind any of their claims. Is there any at all? That is up to you to make your determination. But in any case, I also want to talk to you about the numbers involved in making these claims. We know that the 10% man gets 10% of every dollar that he saves the insurance company. So in this case, that would be about $100,000 if they didn't have to pay. If they were able to make this speculative claim of suicide stick, if they were able to convince you of that, which I'm sure they won't, but that's what they would get away with, $100,000 to the 10% man. They'd have to pay their attorneys, and they'd have to pay the suicidologist. But you know what? All that adds up to what? $120,000, $150,000. They can do this time and time and time again, and you know what? It'll cost them less than it does to pay their claims. Which is why I want to bring you to the last point, doing the right thing. Mrs. Harbour doesn't want to be here. This is the last place on earth she wanted to be. She would much rather be at home with her husband of 26 years, with her husband who has always provided for her, always worked hard, worked so hard that he had to get an apartment close to his office so that he wouldn't disturb her when he came home late at night, who worked so hard to save money for the retirement that he finally gathered enough to make some more speculative investments that he hoped would pay off even bigger in their retirement. But he was also a cautious man, and he was 56, pushing 57 years old. And at that age, he wanted to ensure that Mrs. Harbour was not left any worse off if, for some reason, he should prematurely exit this. He should prematurely die or become incapacitated. So he took out a life insurance policy to protect Mrs. Harbour, his devoted and loving wife of 26 years. He did the right thing. And now we ask that the Southern Comfort Life Insurance, that they also do the right thing. And what is that? Simply to pay the premium as agreed.